What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a brand new slasher film that came out recently, directed by Finn Wolfhard, that a lot of people know from the Stranger Things TV series. He's done quite a bit in his career now. I've watched him in a few projects throughout the past couple of years, and I saw the trailer to this movie a few times when I was at the theater, and the trailer didn't look excellent by any means. But I was excited to watch it either way because I'm a huge fan of the slasher genre, and I always look forward to see what different directors and creators' approaches will be to the slasher genre. And the film I'm going to be discussing with you today is Hell of a Summer. Hell of a Summer is directed by Finn Wolfhard and Billy Bryk. When 24-year-old Jason Hochberg arrives for counseling weekend at his beloved Camp Pineway, his biggest problem is feeling out of touch with his teenage coworkers. Little does he know, a mass killer has murdered camp owners John and Kathy and is preparing to strike again. So I was looking forward to watching this. Like I said, I like Finn Wolfhard. I've enjoyed him in the projects that he's been in previously. And what I will say is, this is not a good movie. It's not a good slasher film. And it's a perfect example of people who watch and appreciate a genre that have no idea how to translate it into a successful film when they try to make their own version of it. It's clear that, like Finn Wolfhard and Billy Bryk and all the people involved in this project, they've seen a lot of slasher movies and they understand bits and pieces of how they work, but they forget everything that makes slasher films special. And for getting an R rating for this movie, so many of the kills take place off screen, and so much of the writing in this is incredibly underwhelming. I feel like it really lacks tension and suspense and all of the things that my favorite slasher movies throughout the years have succeeded at so very well. And I'll talk about it more when I break the movie down for you today. So our main character in this movie is Jason, played by Fred Hechinger. And he gets to this campground. His mom's driving him there, and she's kind of frustrated at him for going to this summer camp for another year. He's 24 years old. She thinks that he needs to get his life together and start pushing towards a real career. And he's super excited to go back because this is where all his friends are. He spent summer after summer here, and he thinks he's going because the two leaders of the camp really need his help. And he gets there, and we're introduced to this wide array of characters. I'm not even going to go through each and every one because there's so many of them, and they all come from different backgrounds and walks of life, and they're all super excited for this camp. Some of the personalities clash, some of them get along really well, and we see early on, the first shot of the film, the owners of the campground are killed in the very first scene. And so we know there's killers there. We don't know who they are. Obviously, one by one, these camp counselors start getting killed off. And the entirety of the film is our group of camp counselors trying to figure out who is the mass killer, who is killing these people off one by one. So like I said, this movie is incredibly underwhelming. I did not enjoy myself watching it very much, but there are a couple of redeeming qualities, and I'll talk about that first. For starters, Fred Hechinger, who plays Jason, the lead actor, he is the reason why this movie is watchable. I've really appreciated him in a lot of the projects that he's been in recently, and he is incredibly charming and he's very funny, and I think that he does a really nice job in all of the scenes that he's in. He's very believable as this guy who's in his early 20s that should be doing something else with his life, but is going back to this campground. And he's just a very kind and real person who wants to help out and wants to be a good person. And the way that all these kind of like entitled, bratty kids treat him, I think that's one of the strongest parts of the movie is his performance. And Claire, played by Abby Quinn, is the other strong suit of the movie. I feel like her relationship with Jason's character, they have a really good rapport. They play off each other really well, and they provided an emotional core to the movie that was needed because the rest of the characters in this film are insufferable, and there's a purpose for why they're so miserable, but I think that the dialogue being written so poorly didn't help the case much either. As far as the other positive I have for this, it's shot relatively well. I do think some of the scenes at night, they're a little bit too dark, but for the most part, I really like the way they capture the camp at the beginning beginning of the movie, like the title card sequence at the beginning when we're being introduced to the campground. There's a lot of really nice shots in this movie, and I think the cinematographer did a really decent job with this, aside from some of the night scenes being shot relatively dark. Aside from that, I don't have really any positives to say. I really didn't like a lot of the performances in this movie outside of our two lead actors. Finn Wolfhard is playing Finn Wolfhard. I feel like he plays the same character in every single movie that he's in. And like, I don't know, just he's so awkward and uncomfortable in this movie. And there are a couple of moments that he tries to drop these like one-liner comedic bits that I just didn't think worked very well. Most of the other campers, they try to do what the Friday the 13th films do, which is give characters like an extreme trait so that, like, despite them being relatively hollow, there's something that can keep you engaged about them, even if it's just one thing that's really simple. Like, there's a girl there that her whole personality is that she's a vegan. The Finn Wolfhard's friend, he's kind of an overblown, obnoxious asshole. There's a guy who all he does is talk about his severe peanut allergy. There's like, they try to do the Friday the 13th formula by giving one extreme personality trait so that at least it makes it watchable. But the performances are so bad and the characters are so unlikable in a way. Like Friday the 13th, what works really well is a lot of the characters, they're asshole teenagers, but they're hilarious. And it's like the way they interact on screen and just how absurd the performances are is what makes the movie enjoyable. In this, I just didn't care about any of these characters or find them like charming or funny enough to appreciate. Like the theater kid who's like really overacting, his performance was completely and totally obnoxious. And so that made the film just really difficult to settle in and appreciate, is because the characters are all unlikable. They pushed really hard for an R rating for this movie, and almost every kill is done off screen. And I think if you're gonna go for the R rating, don't make every kill in your movie off screen. It kind of took all the suspense and tension away from the movie for me. I just found the kills to be relatively mediocre. There's one towards the tail end that is associated with one of the character's traits that I thought was interesting, but it's also kind of lame the way that it's executed. And because they cut away, it's not satisfying whatsoever. And I think if you're going to do cutaway kills, do it in a way like Sleepaway Camp, like the scene with the curling iron. Like, at least imply something very heinous and extreme so that your mind can fill in the blanks instead of just the most generic someone's getting stabbed kind of kill. Like, I don't know. I just found all the kills in this movie to be lackluster. I also didn't really like the mask they chose. It's pretty bland and uninspired. Like, when you're creating a slasher icon, even if it's just someone with a mask, like Scream works really well because the ghost face mask is so iconic and you can't get it out of your mind. This like cheapo Halloween devil mask that these people are wearing, there's just nothing about it that I'm gonna think about in a week. Like, it's just, it was there and it's whatever, but I didn't find it all that interesting. And the motivations of the killers in this movie, one of the stupidest motivations to a killer in any movie that I've watched, and it really kind of showcases the age group of the people who made this movie. And I guess for an audience of that age, they might find something to appreciate with this. But like, when you reveal the motivations of the killer with 25 minutes left in the movie, and then you have to try to find some way to keep the suspense and tension alive, it doesn't work. Like, I think about how what Wes Craven does with Scream and the way that the killer's motivations are revealed, and he keeps the tension and suspense amplified for the entire tail end of the movie. And this just lacked that completely. I just didn't find myself being attached to the screen or engaged in any sort of way, and it just fell flat. I mean, it's just relatively bland. Like, the humor of the people in this age group, it just doesn't land for me. It's so really cringeworthy, and it feels like they're trying too hard. The thing about comedy and what makes really great comedy is people delivering lines that feel very natural and authentic and as a part of their personality. And every actor in this, aside from the two leads that I was discussing, feels like they're trying way too hard. And yeah, this movie came off as just really grating and irritating, and I would never watch this again. Have you seen Hell of a Summer? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was bad. I didn't like it, and I probably will never watch it again. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.